Hello again. We are going to draw the scale of the map now. So we should have already figured out the diameter of our planet. So that's not the right brush I want. So we're just going to assume that the equator, or circumference of our planet here, is 18,000 miles. So that's about 6,000 miles less than the circumference of Earth. So that would make these squares 1,000 miles each. And so we'll find our map basically covers this whole area here for the most part. So we'll take this distance here because we know this is 1,000 miles across. We will take our image here. We'll hit the crop tool. We'll hit the crop tool. Crop down. And hit enter. Now we're going to export this. Export as PNG. I'll just quickly name it map draft scale. And then we're going to drag that onto our map. So just quickly, there is a brush here called this grid brush. And basically what I did was I just stamped this across. I sized it fittingly and then I stamped it across. And that's what I used for the grid. I'm not great at math. If you're good at math, you can probably come up with a much more accurate calculation than I do, which I invite you to do that. So now that we have our distance of scale on our map, we're going to increase the size of this so that it fits. We're going to hit multiply. And then we're going to go all the way back down to our sketch here. We're going to darken that a little bit so we can see it. And now we're going to make sure that the image here that we dragged in with this scale fits perfectly with what we've kind of drawn over. So let's go a little bit more. There we go. So let's go a little bit more here. So now that we have that lined up pretty well, we can hide this. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take out map pen 1. And we're going to draw a straight line from this corner to this corner. And this we now know is 1,000 miles across. So you're probably thinking that's an insane distance, and you're right. Hopefully your map isn't as big as mine, but this is how it's worked out for me. This is just my example of drawing maps. But we're going to reduce this because this is really big. We're going to shrink this down to 500 miles across. Obviously, this landmass I'm mapping out is absolutely ginormous. It's basically a supercontinent. But we're going to cut this in half. So a good way to do that accurately is we're going to take our vertical line tool and we're going to position that in the middle as best as we can. Okay, move a little bit more. Okay, so we know that's the middle. And now we can safely cut that out and we can remove the bottom. Another way to do it is you can take your lines here and then you can look at the measurements up here and you can do the math. You know, this is like, I don't know, 1340 or something, and this is like 100 and I don't know, 80. And then you just find the average between those two numbers, drag another line to the average, and that's how you can find the center of that line. But we won't worry about that right now because we don't need to. We're going to clear guides. Here we have our scale. That is exactly 500 miles. We're going to shrink down our key a bit because it really doesn't need to be so big. And we're going to drop this down. Take this here. And we're just going to reduce that. Make a new layer. We can make a vertical symmetry. Transform symmetry. And again, try and get this positioned in the middle as best as possible. It's going to take some guesswork, of course. Super slightly off center. That's probably good enough. So now we're going to draw a new line. Line for the middle. And we're going to want to get this exactly in the middle of these two. And to do that, we are going to have to do some math. Unfortunately. So before we do that, we are going to take out our numbers. This is 250. Just bring that down. This is 0. This is 500. And we're going to calculate the average of the pixels between this space and this space so we get the exact center. Or if you don't want to be that meticulous, you can just kind of guess. Which, that's fine. But since this is a scale, we're going to try and be a little bit more accurate. So I'm going to go ahead and do the math on that really quick. Hello again. I lost some footage, so I'm needing to re-record what I was saying on finding the exact distance in between these 2 points here. So you want to take out your guidelines, and if you don't have the ruler bar, you can just press Control R and it will come up. Or you can go into View and check this button right here that says Rulers. So you'll drag your lines exactly onto these points here, and you will look at the measurements up here. So I believe this is about 225 and pixels, and this is about 515, give or take. So you would have to find the average of 225 and 515, and it will give you the exact number, which is something around 370. So if you don't know the math, you can just type into Google, what is the average of 225 and 515, and it will give you the answer. And once you got that, you drag your ruler to the pixels and draw your mark. And you can do that as many times as you want to break this down even further.